and welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. For today's beer review, we're jumping into my final bottle that I got in my sampler pack from Craft Shack of Russian River Brewing Company beers based in Santa Rosa, California. I had been looking for a long time. If you haven't caught any of my Russian River reviews, and Craft Shack finally is the outlet I found to get my hands on them. Because they don't distribute down in the Southeast, at least where I am, there's no distributor. Today's beer in question is another version of their beer called Intinction. It is a mixed kind of sour ale. It's got a mix of different cultures in it. This one clocks in at 7% ABV, and this was Merlot barrel aged and also has added Merlot grapes in it. So yeah, label art on this looks the exact same as the last one, just a darker label. Has what I think is a venter's tool. I'm pretty sure that's a grape picking tool. Got the little cage over the cork again, so we'll just get this right off. I already have my glass scooted to the side of the table, and hopefully we'll get this off with ease. Popped right out. Give it a sniff. Oh yeah, that smells really, really nice. Okay, so let's get this poured right in the glass. Oh, that is an absolutely lovely color. I kind of expected it might be a little deeper purple, but this is a very bright kind of purplish pink. Very, very, very lovely beer in the glass. Let's hold that up. Oh yeah, that's stunning. Very clear, very, very pink. Bright pinkish purple. So, formed a tiny bit of a head. There's still a little bit of cling, but I still have good carbonation rushing up, so I think I'm going to be able to get plenty of information out of this. Okay, yeah. So, no real surprises here on the nose. I've had, this is I think my third or fourth of their sours like this now from Russian River. It's got that same distinct smell. You can smell the sour, you can smell the tart, and then of course it is a mixed culture. It smells very much like Brettanomyces to me in this one as well. And it is putting off a very strong kind of tutti fruity bubblegum aroma, which smells really nice. Now the underlying Merlot barrels and the Merlot grapes, I can't really detect anything on the nose that smells like that, but my guess is it's going to be quite readily apparent once I jump into the beer. So yeah, I mean guys, this looks fantastic. Smells fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing what a Merlot grape barrel in addition to beer is going to taste like. So take one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, you cannot detect really on the nose, at least I couldn't, the Merlot, but on the flavor profile it's definitely in there. This is a very interesting complex beer. So let's start with body and mouthfeel. This is 7%, quite a bit higher than your average sour, and it definitely has more presence. I say this is a full medium on it, which is quite a bit different than your average sour. And the mouthfeel on this one, you can definitely feel that added resistance. This one also does get quite creamy as you agitate on the palate. Does a pretty good job of coating all around. Even though it's not a super viscous beer, you can feel the resistance of that ABV. So body and mouthfeel, spot on for what I expected for this ABV range. Top tier. In terms of the flavor profile, so on the nose you get this big sour tart, kind of tutti fruity bubblegum kind of aroma. On the flavor profile, it's a bit of a different story. So you do get a sharpness of sour and tart up front, but it's not super intense, and it backs off really, I mean, intensity, you know, down to about 20% of where it started within about 1 to 2 seconds. And then kind of the underlying elements of this mixed culture and the barrels and the grape additions start to pop out. This actually has a lot of earthy undertones and qualities, which is quite clearly coming from the Merlot grape barrel aging and barrel additions. It does distinctly taste of Merlot. If you're a red wine drinker, you would know it right away. It pairs well in this beer. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I think it really, really works in this. And that underlying richness that it adds, that kind of grapey earthiness, that vinous quality, it's really, really, really good. The other thing I can say is, yes, there's kind of tutti fruity bubblegum aromas on the nose, which I presume is coming from Brettanomyces. In the glass, doesn't taste like that at all. It's, you know, doing its part to impart sour and tart up front, but there is a little bit of that underlying funkiness. It's not over the top. It leans a lot more strongly into this kind of rich Merlot and kind of earthiness underneath, which you don't often find in a sour. Very unique combination of ingredients and how they put it together, but I really, really like what they did on this one. So I'm going to jump back in for a second sip, let everything re-intensify, make sure I didn't miss anything, then we'll talk about the balance and the finish. On first sip though, this is a winner. Take two. Yeah, sour tart, backs off, really starts to open, slight bit of funk, nice earthiness. The Merlot really starts to open up. There's a little woodiness from the barrel in here for sure. This one does dry out the palate a fair bit, and it makes for a normal sensory expectation on the finish. So before we even get to that, let's talk about the balance. The balance on a beer like this is going to be between their mix of cultures that they used, of course, and we're talking about the base underlying beer itself plus the barrel aging and the Merlot grape addition. So it's kind of got a lot of moving parts in it, but for my money, the balance on this is exceptional. It's really, really nice, and it is a beer that is very much driven by the reactions of their culture plus the barrel aging and the Merlot additions. Indeed, the underlying malt bill in this is not super pronounced. It's got almost this kind of neutral quality to let everything else stand out. And indeed, the pungency of that sour and tartness, that underlying funk, the earthiness, the Merlot wine barrel, the side of it, plus the flavor of the Merlot and the Merlot grapes, it really has a lot going on in here. But I think that how they put this together is exactly how to do a beer like this. I'm getting everything that they threw into it, and nothing is really having to, oh, can you find me over here? Can you find me over there? Look at my subtlety. It's not like that. Everything's got a really nice, very clear voice in the flavor profile here, so you can pick all of the independent parts out. I really, really like the balance on this beer. In terms of the finish, like I said, it is quite dry. It gets quite dry pretty quickly. And in this one, it does have a longer lingering finish as well, if we're talking flavor intensity. Far longer than your average sour, and it really on this one is coming down to the intensity of that Merlot back and the grape addition. That's what lingers with just a little bit of funk on the back from their culture, presumably Brettanomyces. But it's a really, really well put together sour here, guys. This, I think, is the most impressive of the sours that I've tried from them. Sadly, this is my final bottle, but that just means I'm going to have to restock on Craft Shack and see if there's some new ones out. Guys, this is a very, very good beer right here. I'm going to take my time, sip on this, count my scores. When we come back, we will get this beer ranked from top to bottom. All right, now that we've gotten to enjoy this beer, we're going to get it ranked. This was Russian River Brewing Company's Intinction, their Merlot barrel-aged version plus Merlot grape additions. 7% ABV on this. It is a mixed culture sour ale, and Russian River is based in Santa Rosa, California. So guys, my final bottle of my Russian River beer sampler pack I got from Craft Shack. A sad moment indeed, but that just means I have to order some more. Yeah, this was really good, guys. This is the second version of their Intinction sour ale. And I gotta say, of the bunch that I got from them, this one is easily the most complex, and it's the one that I personally enjoy the most. I think this beer has a lot going for it. It's quite a unique beer drinking experience in terms of sour beers. So this is another one, guys, that nearly swept it across all categories. Indeed, a solitary category that did not get a perfect 10 out of 10, and that was on the finish. The finish on this, definitely well above average, quite a bit longer than you would ever expect, considering, you know, what it is, ABV range, what they did with it. But this one really did have quite a pronounced lingering Merlot barrel and grape flavor on the end, as well as some of that residual funk from what I presume is Brettanomyces. But it was very, very nice, and it got dry really quickly. So the finish itself, texturally, exactly what you would expect in a nice sour beer. It just had a much longer finish, just haunting flavor on the palate that you don't often get. The finish I did give an 8 out of 10. which does, of course, leave a perfect 10 out of 10 in the remaining 9 categories. That's aroma, taste, body, mouthfeel, head and retention, appearance, balance, my subjective thoughts category, and example of style. So the total score on Russian River Brewing Company's Intinction Merlot barrel version is a 98 out of 100. Guys, this was as close to my money as I would call a perfect sour beer. It was extremely complex, just packed with aroma. It was absolutely stunning to look at in the glass. Tons of layers of flavor and nuance, a lot of hidden surprises in there. This is just a seriously, seriously good sour beer. If you're a sour beer fan, especially if you really like Brettanomyces sours, this is one you definitely want to try to get your hands on. Folks, that is today's review. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you tuning in today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to stay in the loop when our videos go live, just turn on your notifications by hitting that bell icon. Until next time, keep it beer, keep it craft. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.